Hello and welcome back to Just Between Us, the podcast for the girlies who dare to dream big and live fully. I'm your host, Siobhan.
I am your host, Brie, and today we are doing a tri-series. So this is something we haven't done before. So we are releasing one episode every single day for the next 3 days, and they are going to all tie in together. The first topic today, we're going to be talking about why you're not seeing results, because we hear all the time from so many different girls, I've tried all the things, but I haven't been able to see the results that I wanted. And naturally, as humans, I think it is very easy to think that or shift the blame onto something else to make it easier on us mentally to be like, oh, I don't need to take responsibility for the fact that I didn't show up and put in the work. So we naturally shift the blame. And I know if that sounds hard to hear and you're triggered, it probably means you need to reflect on it. And you might be doing that in your own life. And everything we say is to help you guys, to help you uncover where you're holding yourselves back and where you may be keeping yourself stuck in so many different areas of your life. So please take this with a grain of salt, and also know that we say this with love and we care so much about you girls getting results. So this is why we have this conversation. So there's usually 3 things that we notice, and I'm going to touch on the first one. So the first one we usually see is impatience. And what happens is when someone starts a plan or starts a program or a meal plan or anything like that, in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, naturally they're like, well, I haven't seen these crazy drastic results, so it must not work for me. But the thing with this is we actually need to understand, in order to create habits that actually get you the results and to be consistent and adherent with them, we actually have to do it longer than 2 weeks. And I like to use the analogy of the fake 10. And a fake 10, if you read the bottle and it says leave on for 2 hours and then rinse off, you're not going to leave that on for 30 minutes and then go wash it off and be like, why am I not as 10 as I thought I would be, right? You're going to leave it on for 2 hours, knowing most girls leave it on for like 3, 4, 5, or sleep in it because you want the best results possible. So you have to give it time to develop and for you to develop the skills to be consistent and adherent enough to integrate those habits in your life in order to see results. So if you find that you are someone that wants results like that, which to be honest, we all do, right? We want results yesterday without doing any of the work. Like, someone please hand it to me on a silver platter, please and thank you. But if that were the case and you didn't feel like you earned it, then it wouldn't feel the same. You wouldn't feel as good. So when it comes to impatience, understand that the first 2 to 4 weeks, sometimes longer, depending on the person, you are just starting to integrate these habits, and you shouldn't have all your ducks in a row by that point, which means you're not fully showing up completely in the whole entire program and ticking all the boxes. So you can't expect results like that. And it's so easy to get caught up in the mindset of like, well, it worked for her or she saw this in a period of time. But you can't compare yourself to anybody else, because sometimes those girls have done things in the past and they know how they can just switch straight into the mindset of integrating those habits. But maybe this is your first time, or you've done it once or twice before, but never actually been at a position where you were consistent and you were able to put those habits into play. So you actually have to just practice integrating one thing at a time to make them a habit. Once they all become a habit and you're doing, your steps, your sleep, your nutrition, your training, all relatively, 80% consistently, then that's when you can start your timer, I guess, and be like, cool, in 4 weeks' time, I should start to see quite a decent visual change if I'm showing up every single day. But those first 2 to 4 weeks, give yourself grace. No wonder why it hasn't worked for you, because maybe you only did 2 out of the 7 things that you may need to do in order to see those results. So that first one is impatience.
One thing that I wanted to just add to that impatience point is that most people give up just at the point that they're actually about to start seeing results. Like, so many people get to the point of like they're almost there. Like we would literally be able to be like, if you just keep going for like 1 more week, I promise you're going to see something. But we get to a point, and just as humans, we just naturally are impatient as humans. It's not something that most of us have the skill of, especially when it comes to like today's world of you can literally order things online and it arrives the same day. You can get quick fix things that the bottles sell you that you're going to have, and like guides and like all those big booty guides that came out that was like 30-day results. Like there's so many marketing things that try and sell you quick results as well, that's just what we have ingrained in our brains. But one thing is, especially when it comes to health and fitness, it is going to feel boring before you get the results. That is kind of the point. Being repetitive on the same shit is how you get the result. So it is going to feel boring, and you do actually need to be patient, and then they will show up. But most people do get to that like 90-way mark and then they give up. And if they just kept going, they would start seeing results. So when you feel like you're about to give up, just keep pushing. Just remember that and be like, actually, maybe this is the point right before I start seeing what I want to see, and just keep going, see what happens. The second thing that we see a lot when it comes to just not getting results is having a look at how much effort you're actually putting in compared to how much effort you're telling yourself that you're putting in. If you can honestly tell yourself that you are putting in maximum effort, you are actually showing up to the habits, the routines, the foundations, you're building those behaviors that actually move you forward. If you can be like, yeah, I can honestly say that I'm showing up to them 80% of the time, then I promise you're going to get results. But a lot of the time, again, and it comes kind of back down to kind of the impatience thing as well, they kind of tie in with each other. But we often see that people are, and I think we've also mentioned this in a past episode, but we're like so adverse to actual hard work nowadays that we all want the maximum results for the most minimum amount of effort, when in reality that's just not how it works, and it's never going to be how it works. If you want results that are different from what you're currently doing, what you've currently got, the body that you've currently got, the lifestyle that you've currently got, it's going to require you doing different things. And often that requires a different amount or more effort than you have been putting in. So if you're coming into something and you're actually only giving like 10% effort, basically stop lying to yourself about the amount of effort that you're actually putting in. If you are putting 10-20% effort in but expecting all of the results, you actually just need to have a look at yourself and be like, maybe it's not the program's fault. Maybe it's not what I'm trying, the method that I'm trying. Maybe it's actually the amount of hard work and effort that I'm willing to put in, or the sacrifices that I'm willing to make to actually get the result. I had another point, but it's gone.
It will probably come back knowing you.
Probably.
I want to touch on that. I like to call it like essentially ticking the boxes. And I think this is where a coach is so important, or actually tracking the data is extremely important, because if you're not looking at that and actually reflecting on a daily basis of how am I showing up and seeing it as a way to improve, instead of looking at it and going, oh, well, I didn't show up, I'm never going to be able to do it. And then you just quit because you're like, oh, it's impossible. You have to suck to start. You have to go through the suck. And you know what? The suck will pass. But you have to reflect on that and go, cool. As long as I'm 1% better every day, you're looking at your week as a total. And maybe you tick 2 out of 7 boxes for the first day. Then the next day it might be 3. Then the next day it might be 3 again. That's okay, as long as you're consistently showing up and slowly improving. Because if you don't tick the boxes and you don't say track your food, you don't track how many steps you're doing, how do you really know if you're actually showing up completely for what you need to do for your body and your results? So it gives you that honest feedback. And I like to see it in a way like our girls in our coaching app have a daily accountability thing they get to tick off every single day. And we have a few foundational habits that we like them to do. And it's a great way of going in there and living in a state of refinement and looking at it and going, hey, how did I show up today? Okay, cool. I did really well with this, and this, but tomorrow I know I really need to focus on ticking this box. And over time, you start to live in the state of, hey, I can do better, but I'm also proud at what I have done in this day. Because if you're constantly looking at it and going, well, I didn't show up, well, I'm falling short all the time, I might as well quit, then you're always going to stay at square one and you're never going to see results. So it's so important to track the data and not make it mean anything about you, but use it as something to propel you forward and to see where you can improve. Did you remember your point?
I did. And then I almost forgot it again. It came back, and then I was listening so intently to you that I almost forgot it. And then I had to rethink about it for like the 3rd time, but I do remember it. And it kind of follows onto the same thing, but kind of the other side of it is that obviously this is a very obvious thing to say, but it's something that we often come up against is that saying you're going to do the thing and actually doing the thing are completely different. But I think a lot of the time people say that they're going to do all of these things. So to a certain extent, you've got in your brain, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times this week. I'm going to do my 10,000 steps. I'm going to meal prep. That is kind of like circulating in your brain. And then you're going, yeah, I've put so much effort in. I've like said that I'm going to do all of these things. But then when you actually, again, get really honest with yourself at the end of the week, when you look back, have you actually showed up to all of the things that you said you were going to do? Or are you just saying you're going to do things, but then not actually fully committing to them and following through on them? Because saying you're going to do something and actually taking the action is ultimately, this side, you're not going to get any results. If you're just talking about stuff but you're not actually actioning it, you're not going to get results. The actual action is where all of the results come from. So even from kind of like an effort perspective, actually have a look at like, what percentage of the time are you just saying you're going to do things, and what percentage of the time are you actually doing them? And if the percentage is kind of leaning more towards the just saying you're going to do the thing, that's going to hinder your results massively.
You know what just came up for me is, the power of like obviously visualization and how athletes do it before they compete in whatever their specialty is. They visualize so much of themselves either winning, how they're going to win, every part about it, that it comes to fruition. I think it's kind of the same, the opposite, right? We think about it so much and it's in our head so much of what we need to do and how we need to show up that we think we've actually done it, when in reality we haven't. We still need to do the work.
Yeah.
It's all just in our head.
Yeah, exactly. Or even like we overthink it so much that then we freak ourselves out. So we don't do the thing because we've overthought it so much. Like we've panicked ourselves into being like, actually, no, I'm not capable of all of that stuff. Just because instead of just taking the action, we sit there and think about it for too long.
Yeah, absolutely. Classic human nature.
Yeah.
And the third point is technically coachability, but also to a degree in your mindset of, you think that maybe when you purchase something or you invest into something automatically, which again, these all tie in together, you automatically get results. But the thing is, if I give you a meal plan and you take that meal plan, sits on your kitchen bench, but you don't go food shopping, you don't meal prep the food, and you don't put that food in your mouth, how are you supposed to get results? We can, as coaches, give you guidance, give you structure, support you, check in with you all the time, and give you the highest level of support. But at the end of the day, you also have to put your effort in and do your part, because so many people will think, cool, now I've invested into a coach, naturally I should get results. And again, it comes back to the blame game of, that coach's program didn't work for me, that meal plan didn't work for me. And we get into this mindset that it's not our fault. We don't have to take responsibility for our part. So it is so important to understand that just because you have invested into something doesn't mean the work is done. That's actually where it starts. So be brutally honest with yourself. If you are actually going to show up and do the work, then yeah, absolutely you will get the results. But you also have to know that it does require hard work, and we can give you all the guidance, all the love, all the support that in the world, and you still cannot get results because you have to be the one to take that step forward. And I'd like to think of it as like driving a car. As a coach, we're in the passenger seat, right? We're sitting there, we're like the GPS, go this way, turn right, turn left. But if you're not going to start the car and turn the car on, then at the end of the day, like we can't tell you the next steps, So it comes down to that coachability. Are you willing to listen? Are you willing to take on the feedback that we give you? Are you willing to sit in the uncomfortability of knowing that you do have to put in the work? And sometimes it might call for some tough love to be like, hey, you have been doing the same thing on repeat, and we need to show you where your patterns are leading you. And if you don't make a shift, then you will stay exactly where you are. And we don't want that. So we need to have this conversation so you start showing up for yourself and you get the results, because ultimately we're here to keep you accountable. And sometimes accountability doesn't feel very nice, but it is what moves the needle forward.
Yeah. I honestly don't even think I have anything to add to that. You smashed that. You smashed that entire third point. Yeah, literally. No, it's very true. But I also think that like when it comes to being coachable in anything, whether it's your health and fitness, your career, whatever it might be, if you are investing in yourself and if you're investing your money into something, show up and do it as well. Like, if you are investing in any kind of mentoring, coaching, anything within yourself, and you're just spending this money and then not actually, again, putting any of the effort to make it work or make the change, like, why? Why are you doing that? Like,
Yeah.
you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time, but for what? Like, just to stay in the exact same spot that you wanted to change from in the first place. And I was going to say usually, but not usually, always, when you are coming to a coach or signing up for a program or getting a mentor or investing in yourself, it is because you want change, and it's because you're signing up to someone who you know has more skills than you do, more education than you do in that area, or has already done what you want to do for yourself. So listen to them. If you could do it for yourself in your current situation, you'd already have the results. So if you're coming into a space where you're asking for support and you're asking for help, actually be open to receiving it. The coachability point is such a really great point, because you're so right. So many people do sign up to things and just be like, okay, cool, the work's done now. That's it. I've signed up, I've got the program. The results are guaranteed. But ultimately, a meal plan is not going to change your life. A gym program is not going to change your life. It's the actions that you take as an individual, the changes in your habits, in your lifestyle, in your mindset. That is what changes your life and gets results. It's not the plan itself. As you said, the plan and the coach is there to guide you and support you and to keep you accountable, but no one else is responsible for your change or results other than you.
Yeah. And I think a little bit of it comes down to that self belief and believing if you're actually able or capable of doing it. But of course, you don't believe in it because you've never created evidence. And the only way to create evidence is by taking action and just giving it a red hot go. And if you fail, cool, get up, try again, and keep going, because if you don't quit, you will get there eventually. You got to fuck around and find out and fail forward. That is literally how we all do it. Do you have anything else to add, Chef, before we wrap this episode up?
No, I
Amazing.
think that's, yeah, episode 1 of our Try series done.
Oh, yeah. Well, we just wanted to kind of uncover that today. In our next episode tomorrow, we are going to chat about what it actually takes to become the person who actually has results. So stay tuned. And as always, pop any comments below, leave us a review, like, follow, subscribe, all the things. You know, it supports us, and we appreciate you guys being here on this journey with us. But other than that, we will see you in the next episode. Okay, bye.